Good morning. My name is Nicholas Smith. Today is May 15th, 2024, and the current time is 7:36 a.m. I am currently on my way to an appointment, so if you see my eyes looking away, I'm just glancing at the map, and I'm also using hands-free. The reason for today's video is to communicate to members of Congress, House Armed Services Committee, and the Independent Review Commission on Sexual Assault in the United States Armed Forces. As always, I am pursuing the avenue of approach up under and seeking protections from and under the authority of the Military Whistleblower Protection Act. The topic of today's video is to disclose unprecedented forms of retaliation by the United States Marine Corps by way of reporting crimes and violations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, as many of you know, during the month of April 2018, I was sexually assaulted by an active duty service member. Throughout the course of the investigation conducted by the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, I was contacted by a known associate of the perpetrator, where I then unknowingly became a recipient of witness intimidation, also known as witness tampering, which is a violation under 18 United States Code subsection 1512. I immediately reported this to my victim's legal counsel, who failed to report it to proper authorities. Proper authorities such as the ongoing Naval Criminal Investigative Service investigation for the sexual assault, his superiors, the Provost Marshal's office, and anyone else that has a need to know in order to investigate this. Three days later, after I was contacted by this known associate, the defense counsel submitted to my victim's legal counsel, which is my legal representative, a pretrial agreement, which was in favor of the accused. I did not agree initially with this pretrial agreement, and I made annotations on the draft version that I printed out, that I was sent by my victim's legal counsel, forwarded to him by the defense counsel, of many inaccuracies and incorrect information. And I asked my victim's legal counsel if we, to include myself, the victim's legal counsel, and the government prosecutor, who I did not even know existed at that time, if we could modify it, revise it, annotate it, and submit it back to the defense to negotiate. And my victim's legal counsel told me that that's not how pretrial agreements work, and that I had two options. I could agree to the pretrial agreement and have the accused or the perpetrator be found guilty of something rather than nothing, or I could not agree to it and have the perpetrator walk free. So with those two options, and up under coercion, up under persuasion, up under shame, up under guilt, up under sadness, up under not knowing what to do, up under fear of further retaliation, and up under not knowing my rights, the pretrial agreement moved forward. The pretrial agreement bound the judge from certain punishments. And essentially, the perpetrator was not charged with a sexual assault, not charged with multiple things. Even, I won't get into that. They were only charged with fraternization, which is essentially someone of higher authority, or someone of senior authority, communicating with someone of lesser authority. And also was charged with an assault consummated by battery, in that the perpetrator just touched me on the shoulder with his hand, like as if he's giving me advice, like, oh, I'm sorry, something happened, I'm here for you. It was not that, but that's what the pretrial agreement said. The pretrial agreement also limited certain things that could happen at trial, such as there is no jury. It's just trial by the judge alone. And I didn't have witnesses. I tried to have witnesses, but that was taken away from me. The accused got witnesses, and I was like, what? So, after I received the entry of judgment back, I was reviewing it, and it said that the accused had submitted a statement, that statement was received, and that statement was reviewed and considered. But nowhere on that document did it say the victim submitted a statement that it was received, reviewed, and considered. So I asked my victim's legal counsel. My victim's legal counsel got back to me at a certain time, and via text message told me that he followed up with the staff judge advocate to the commanding general, at that time was 1st Marine Division, and I believe it was Major General Castelvi. It's in the documents. And the staff judge advocate dropped the ball and did not deliver the statement. That is intentional and disregard for victims' rights. That is obstruction of justice. Because had I not found that, and had I not asked about it, and had not my victim's legal counsel followed up with my inquiry, it would have went unheard of. So, all they did was create a new record of trial, a new entry of judgment, and just annotate, it was received, it was reviewed, it was considered. There's no way that it can be considered after the entry of judgment had already taken effect. So, I submit a complaint to the Inspector General of the Marine Corps. I submitted 3 complaints. The first one was on that known associate that contacted me that committed a federal crime, which was witness tampering and a violation of an article of the Uniform Code of Military Justice as victim witness intimidation, because his act alone, even him calling me, but the things he said was even worse. And that caused me to doubt, to alter my testimony, and it caused me to agree to terms and conditions that arose 3 days later. That's what happened. So the Inspector General conducts their inquiry on that alone, and all the evidence that I submitted to them The Inspector General of the Marine Corps never contacted me and asked me any questions. They never had me write a statement. They never asked me if I had additional documentation or additional proof up under the claims that I had submitted. So they closed the case, stating that their office conducted a thorough investigation and no violations of any law, rules, regulation, or orders were found, and that the case was considered closed. I submitted a second complaint to the Inspector General of the Marine Corps. This time, it was on the Staff Judge Advocate to the Commanding General of 1st Marine Division at that time. With the text messages and everything, obstruction of justice. They intentionally and deliberately did not deliver my statement, which is a right of the victim. Essentially, I'm trying to communicate with the Commanding General, letting them know about the intimidation that happened and how my victim's legal counsel failed to report it. The Inspector General, again, did not contact me, ask me any questions, did not have me write a statement, did not ask for additional proof. They concluded their investigation. Same thing. Our office has conducted a thorough investigation and no violations of any law, rules, regulations, or order were found. This case is considered closed. I submit a third complaint to the Inspector General of the Marine Corps. This time it was on the victim's legal counsel. Failure to report a crime, conduct unbecoming of an officer, and failure to report a crime, and misrepresentation. Inspector General never contacted me, never asked me for additional documents or evidence, never asked me to write a statement. They concluded their investigation. No violations. Our office, this is what they said, our office has conducted a thorough investigation and no violations of any law, rule, regulation, or order were found. This case is considered closed. I'm like, you know how much distress I'm in? What more do I have to do to prove that these things happened, even with the evidence? Okay. I submit inquiry. I submit a complaint to my Congress representative. At that time, it was Congresswoman Val Demings. Their office can only inquire into a complaint. Their office cannot make things happen. Their office cannot make things happen. So the Congress representative's office inquired to the Inspector General of the Marine Corps about my complaint, and I told my Congress representative everything. Headquarters Marine Corps comes back and says something along the lines of, we've checked all of our boxes. Staff Sergeant Smith reported a crime. We investigated it. We held the perpetrator accountable. And we don't understand why Staff Sergeant Smith feels that his rights were violated. We don't understand why Staff Sergeant Smith feels that he was intimidated. Nobody told Staff Sergeant Smith to answer the phone and talk to that known associate who contacted him. So it's Staff Sergeant Smith's own fault that he became the victim again by witness tampering. And service members shall not use their Congress representative to conduct an inquiry because they don't agree with the legal proceedings. We thank your office for inquiring into this complaint, and this matter is considered closed. That's what Headquarters Marine Corps came back and said. Oblivious to the fact and the proof that I presented to them about the witness tampering, intimidation, the failure to report a crime, and conduct unbecoming and misrepresentation, and obstruction of justice. Fast forward, I'm trying to get through this. I'm trying to live my life, not by choice, but not by choice. So I'm trying to continue to provide for my family, and I go to a professional military education school for my job specialty. While I'm there, the job specialty school is advocating for more instructors to go and teach at the schoolhouse because they were in desperate need of instructors. And I believe that I am really, really good at what I do in my job specialty. And so I speak to the senior enlisted advisor at the schoolhouse. I speak to the occupational field sponsor. And at that time, I spoke to the, in the Marines, we call them orders monitors. I think in some other branches, they call them detailers. All three individuals, let me see. Occupational field sponsor. Yeah, all three individuals that have decision-making ability or has influence on in facilitating instructors. All of them are on board, but it's a little too early to be issued relocation orders. So I got the green light. I've already been approved on all levels. It's just they can't do anything yet. So at the time, the orders detailer or the monitor ended up retiring, and his replacement came. I forwarded the email chain to his replacement, and I get a response back. Staff Sergeant Smith, thank you for contacting me. You seem like, and you are a great candidate to be an instructor at your job specialty schoolhouse. How about I issue you relocation orders for December of 2023. I responded back 30 minutes later. Thank you, ma'am. That is amazing. I can't wait to go. I can't wait, because that is the reason why I wanted to go there and become an instructor, was because I'm really good at what I do. I have a passion for what I do, and to advocate for service members of lesser rank, so that way they do not become victims of people of higher authority who prey on those of lesser rank that groom them like my perpetrator did, and essentially to advocate for them and to be that voice for them. A certain point came around, and I haven't been issued the relocation orders yet, so I'll follow up with the orders detailer. They come back and say, yeah, headquarters is looking for submissions to go be a drill instructor, recruiter, or detachment commander. You can't go to the schoolhouse anymore. I'm like, what? You just promised me via email and via documents and correspondence that this was moving forward. What happened? I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. So I'm going on 20 minutes with this video right now. So I had re-enlisted November, December, January, I had November, December, January, February, March, I had re-enlisted 4 months prior. 4 months prior, I re-enlisted for another 4 years up under the promise that I was going to go and become an instructor at the schoolhouse so that I could also advocate for service for those of lesser rank. And in my re-enlistment package, I requested orders to the schoolhouse up under the promise of what I just talked about. When my re-enlistment was approved, I reached out to my higher headquarters in Pensacola. Hey, I see that they approved my re-enlistment, but they didn't even document or request denied for orders to the schoolhouse. Nothing. So I asked for them to send it back and for them to document, okay, please issue the orders or orders to relocate to the schoolhouse, or just like acknowledge that, hopefully I'm not missing a turn, acknowledge, my request. They failed to do that. And then come March of 2024, March of 2023, that's when I got the email back telling me that, no, you can't go, after I already executed this re-enlistment. So, okay, I let it go.